still out working at your school.
Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, can you believe today all the job centers are shut down? Yes, that's true. I actually work at National Institutes of Health, NIH. I work at one of the 27 institutes and centers under NIH, which is NIAID. It stands for National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. The department I work under is for HIV and AIDS, for the solution and figuring out the vaccine for AIDS.
You work for Dr. Fauci?
Yes, I do.
I certainly know of him.
Yes, I do know him. I work under him. Yes, I know. He's on CNN a lot of the time. Yes, and I've worked there briefly for 1 year so far. And I really moved here because the MPA, the Masters of Public Administration program at Gallaudet. I was very lucky to obtain that job while being here at Gallaudet. But I'm curious to hear more about Section 508, where you work at in the Department of Defense, correct?
Yes, I'm what's called the Section 508 coordinator for the Department of Defense. And in that job, our office works to ensure that any information technology that we buy is accessible to persons with disabilities. And there are a number of ways to go about doing that. But a lot of our job is an education role in terms of making both the IT and the acquisition people aware of the requirement that they can't just buy anything. They need to buy IT that will be accessible to persons with disabilities.
I actually myself own a couple of technology equipment from CAP, the Computer Electronic Accommodations Program.
The CAP is a Department of Defense program. That's correct. I was talking about it earlier here. The CAP's been around for 20, 22 years, I think, and centrally funded. And you're a perfect example of someone outside of the DoD who is actually getting their assistive technology from CAP. Because CAP actually has been so successful that they are providing some technology across the government.
Well, I'm glad to have shared that information with you because, I mean, I use that information every day. Yes. So I enjoy working at NIH because it's very deaf friendly. They have great interpreting services. My boss is great to work with. And I know DoD is a little bit of a military focused, and NIH is a little more people focused. And I wonder, what's your experience with people who are disabled that work at Department of Defense?
My experience, yes. When I came into the government, the office I worked in, there was a woman with, she was legally blind, and she had a large screen and screen readers. Technology of 19, gosh, what was it? 91. Technology certainly improved a lot. Since then, but she was very successful in the office and really enjoyed it. And I work very closely with a fellow by the name of Mark Rue from the CAP office, and REW, and he is the chief of the blind low vision team there, and he's terrific and been such a help to me in my office in terms of helping us, connecting us with people who are having difficulties. A lot of times we gotten referrals. Let's say a person with disabilities is working on a piece of software that isn't cooperating with the assistive technology. A lot of times they'll go to the CAP office. They'll go to Mark. If they're blind, they'll go to Mark because they know he works blind or vision issues. He'll bring them to me so that we can get them addressed. So we have a good relationship with the CAP, and we've been really lost without them actually, because they're great. If people don't know where to go, a lot of times they'll go first to the CAP, and then they'll come to us.
So I wonder where you work. You're looking for people who have disabilities and maybe more of information technology skills, or are, like, for example, myself, I have a lot of administrative skills. Is that something you guys might be looking for?
Of course, yeah. There's no limit to the sort of jobs that are open in the department, and no disability is limiting because of the CAP program being there. Um, Anything that you might need, or any prospective employee, we would just find out from them what are the tools you use, in your daily life when it comes to the computer say. And then we'll make sure that we can get those for you through the CAP program. But certainly, yeah, the DoD, this is absolutely a wide open area.
Well, it's interesting. Recently, about a month ago, I went to a training for learning how to be a purchasing procurer. And it was funny because the woman who was teaching the class actually was talking about how when you buy certain things, code of ethics has to really come into play. And it's interesting to learn that from that workshop about how things that we buy, especially for the government, and how ethics come into play and how that applies to my own personal job. Um, it's very interesting. And another thing I realized while taking that workshop was, um, see, right now I work with people's holdings, personal money, and um, and it's just taking a step back and going, oh wow, there's a lot of ethics that goes into handling these kinds of situations.
Yeah, certainly you don't want to be buying something from a company that you own stock in, that kind of thing, where it creates at the very least an appearance of impropriety. But when you talked about you went to the training for people who buy stuff, I was thinking you were going to talk about the training that the GSA does. The GSA does training throughout government for purchasing officers, procurement officials, and it focuses to a great extent on Section 508, on making sure when you are creating your statement of work that you are careful to put into that the Section 508 standards that might apply. And when I was talking earlier today, I can't believe this, I left out the GSA. They're a huge player in Section 508. Government, because they have a website that you can go to, and it's an accessible website too, where you can develop a statement of work. You type in what it is you're buying, and it will produce for you language of what you're buying as a piece of software. It will tell you when you create your statement of work, you must say Section 508 standard 1194.21 software applies to this person. And that way your vendor knows what's expected of them. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that ethics training that you were doing, because it was interesting to hear, and it got me on track to remember something I wanted to mention about GSA earlier.
And now they've heard it too. I'm glad the audience has gotten a chance. Actually, about last year, I was able to go to a Schedule A screening event or hiring event. It's for people with disabilities, and I was screened a couple times, through the phone, through the email, but finally I was able to go. And it was here in DC. Now, they didn't tell me who or what company I was meeting with, but I had 9 interviews. And as I was screened, I was only screened for the GS level positions, but they only told me the times for each interview. And as I went in, I had meetings or interviews all day, back to back to back, and they would cover a variety of different jobs with ethics and management and OA,